How many times have you gone the same road, drove through it, walked through it, or ridden through it, and every single day of your life? And if somebody asks you, is there a gulmohar tree on that road? You'll be like, I am not sure. And that's the level of mindful living that we have.
Hello, everyone. We have here Shadi Raziawan. She is a clinical psychologist and a mindfulness coach. And the very limited interactions that I have had with her tells me that these are just very redundant notions. What she is, that we will explore, right? And we hope through this conversation, right, we'll have some clarity about the life that we are living, about the life that we want to live, and how does it feel to know ourselves a little bit more, right? That feeling is very special. And I hope that through this conversation, we reach there. So hello, Shadi.
Hi, Kumar. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So Shadi, before I tell my audience your story, which is very fascinating and which we'll come to, I want to straight away ask you a question. What exactly is mindfulness, right? The more we study about the mind, the more we find it random. How do we study a subject which is this random and fickle, and the scientific parameters that are in consideration keeps on changing? How do we go about that?
Wow. Okay, Kumar. First and foremost, I will have to disagree with you that the mind is random.
Good.
Okay. So I hope you don't mind that.
No. I'm here to learn.
Okay. I tell you what, most of us think that mind is this mysterious things that we need not get into it. And we feel we are victim to the mind. You ask anybody about the mind and they'll be like, I'm not sure what goes on in my mind. Or if you ask them, they will believe that mind is very confusing and you don't want to get there. And as you just mentioned, it's all random and I am not in control of it. Now, what I like to tell everybody that it is not impossible to learn to master your own mind. Okay. So you, to go to the first part of your question, what is mindfulness? Okay. So mindfulness is a concept which, of course, began mostly, if you see, it goes way back to Buddhism, to meditation, and it goes to those years where you and I were not there, and the people knew so much more than us. And the whole process has come all along, all these years in the new centuries, we are calling it mindfulness. What used to be called meditation, what was the yogic practice. So mindfulness, now when you say meditation to people, especially young generation like yourself, they'll go like, I have had so many young people coming to me, and when I talk about mindfulness, they go, no, I can't do meditation, or I cannot sit for 5 hours like this. Unfortunately, there is this confusion, and mindfulness is not necessarily you sitting cross-legged with your, mudras and, sit there for 3 hours with your back straight, and then you feel, oh my God, all overwhelmed. Especially, as I said, the new generation wants everything quick. You don't want to be sitting for so long so that you control your mind, so that you feel calm. Mindfulness is a lifestyle, frankly. It's a lifestyle for you to be in conscious connection with your senses. That's the whole thing. There are lots of, definitions to mindfulness, but I like this one best. Because when you're mindfully living, you are conscious and aware of your surrounding, of your emotions, and of your senses. Basically, what you see, what you eat, what you hear, what you taste. A lot of times, most of us are on this, autopilot mode, which I would like to call, and we don't really observe. I mean, how many times have you gone the same road, drove through it, walked through it, or ridden through it, and every single day of your life, probably since you were a child, if you still live in the same area, or no, since the past 6 months, 1 year. And if somebody asks you, is there a gulmohar tree on that road? You'll be like, I am not sure. And that's the level of mindful living that we have. We don't really observe anything around us. So many of us go through our days, like eat, work, sometimes even watch or talk to someone without actually noticing details. And if you say mindfulness, it's all about being in that moment consciously with full awareness. That's all that it is. You don't have to be a yogi. You don't have to be sitting for 4 hours in meditation. All you need to do is apply this conscious awareness and focus on your senses in this manner can help you to be calmer. It can help you to limit those running thoughts. See, when you sit for meditation, a lot of people have this issue that my mind starts running all over the place. I'm not able to focus on one thing. Yes, that's not easy. It takes time to do that, right? And that's why everybody who meditates will tell you, don't force your mind, because the more you force it to not go anywhere, the more it's going to go everywhere. So you have ways of, focus on the third eye, focus on this, focus on your breath, focus on the candle, all the stuff. But when I'm talking about mindfulness as a daily practice, all you need to do is, when you, as I said, when you are going for your walk, be in the nature. Just observe. Why don't we ever look at what plant is there here? What is there over there? And how is the weather? What are the sounds that you hear? In fact, one of the practices of mindfulness is that, that you listen to sounds and pay attention and see what are the sounds that you actually hear when you're outside. You could do this when you're sitting in your balcony and sipping on your coffee. If you just observe the sounds, or no, if you just observe what is around you, maybe look for 4 or 5 things new today, and you will find something new every day from the same balcony, which probably every day you're having your chai from. But that's the level of not being aware that most of us live with. All you need to do is live in awareness. That's all I would say. That mindfulness is about practice of being in that moment. Live consciously.
So the question becomes, why is it important? What is the benefit of being a mindful person? And why do you think most of us are not?
Okay. So most of us are not. Because as I said, we don't understand our mind. Okay. We don't understand our mind. We are so not in touch with how the mind works really, that we are allowing those thoughts, the conscious mind, which is the thoughts, which is what you are constantly planning, you're doing something, that to run absolute wild in your head. And what you need is to tame that conscious mind, right? Now, to tame that mind, you need to understand what are the rules of the mind. What are the things about the mind that you need to understand? In fact, I run a workshop which I talk about the mind, rules of the mind. But I like to just share a couple of them because it can get very detailed. But I like to share a couple of them. Like one of the things that I love to tell people about the mind is that for your mind, imagination is much more powerful than knowledge. Okay? So what happens is most of the times when we say that I feel this way or I have this, if you keep talking about feeling, right? We as humans, we have this, I feel sad or I feel anxious. I'm so stressed. I feel stressed. All these things that we have with us, the emotions that we are constantly bothered with. Where do they come from? Most of them come from the imagination of the thought rather than the actual thought, which could come from the knowledge or the experience, because your mind works like that. Your mind has this ability, or rather we all have this ability to create this amazing story around one subject, which our conscious mind puts it. And then we create this huge scene of it. We literally run a movie about what could be, what couldn't be, this can happen, that can happen, and we blow it so much out of proportion that it just takes over. And then what are we doing? We are not really understanding that it is my imagination that is creating this. It's not because the thought was that big, or the thought was that distressing, or the thought was giving me anxiety. Why? Because that's how your mind works. Your mind takes that thought and creates this story around it. Now, can you control that story around it? Yes. That's where the mindfulness can come in.
Okay.
When you live in mindfulness, when you are having this awareness, what do? You just realize, okay, hold on. What was the thought? One simple thought. Suppose it. Okay, let's go with an example of, okay, I've got to do this project and it's up for next 1 hour and I have only 1 hour to complete this work because I'm late. Okay. Now, if you're aware, if you are constantly aware of your thoughts and as I said, you live in mindfully aware of everything, you realize that all you need to do is sit down and do your work. Simple, right? But what do? We take the thought and then we start, oh my God, I have this much. Oh, I have to do this also. I have to do, oh, what if it doesn't happen? And what if my boss says this is horrible and I have to go back and again do it? Oh my God. And what if that one is, we have not even checked the email? What if that one is not sent me the document which I need to put in this? And there is this, your imagination creates a story around it and it just blows out of proportion. All you had to do is focus on the activity. But what happens with the story that you create, all you've done is increase your BP and heart rate, and you have created a whole lot of stress, as you would call it. Why? Because your body physically, your thoughts, your imagination, the story behind it, physically your body starts reacting. You start sweating, you start getting fidgety. As I said, probably someone checks your BP is higher. And it's a chain reaction, right? So living consciously in awareness makes a difference, of course, while you understand your mind at the same time. One more thing that your mind loves is familiar. Mind loves the familiar. We seek the familiar. So if you're familiar with abuse, you'll be amused that you will constantly get into relationships that are abusing you one way or the other. And you always wonder, have you seen people saying that, I don't know why I keep meeting the same kind of a guy?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Or even, it can happen to guys also, meeting the same kind of a girl who treats you like shit. And you just keep wondering, why do I do this? Why? Because your mind is so used to being abused. Frankly, if somebody comes and treats you well, you'll be like, this person is not for me. No, she's too nice.
Too good.
She's too nice. Yeah, because your mind is used to it. So what we need to do is make our mind get familiar with things that are good for us. Not things that are not good for us. Like, generally speaking, most of us are so, I'm a big fan of self-talk. I really believe in the power of words. And I say, most of us are so familiar with self-criticism that we cannot even hear somebody complimenting us properly. Forget ourselves saying something good about us. That is a clear sign of being looking for familiar. But we have to familiarize things that are good for us. And that's a conscious effort. Once again, you've got to be conscious. You've got to be aware. Where am I doing wrong? What am I familiarizing that is negative? Now, for that, you need to be mindfully living and being aware of your senses, your thoughts, your emotions, your surrounding. But when you start mindfulness practices, it starts from your surrounding. As I said, your senses. Like, what am I looking at? Where am I going? How am I eating? A lot of us, when we eat, it's so quick. These days, you just put on the TV or you have something on your laptop or even checking your messages and you're eating. Somebody asks you like exactly what was it this taste or what was the texture? You probably have to think for a second, what was the texture of the food I just ate? Because it just is we are just doing something on an autopilot. You're not aware of it. So mindfulness begins with these small things. And once you have actually practiced these and you're so conscious of these senses, you become more conscious of your thoughts. You become more conscious of your words. And believe it or not, you'll be so conscious of your emotions that you can have this mind in your hand, in your control. And that's when you master your mind. So mind is not random. Learn how it works and it will work beautifully for you. But you've got to understand how it works.
Maybe the next time when I invite you on our podcast, I'll have some mastery on this. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get in touch with me.
Yeah, sure.
Man, every time I listen to a podcast, right, I'm a little more knowledgeable. Let us know what you feel about it in the comment section below. And don't forget, like, share,